Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is John Fontain and I'm from Manchester in the UK. I was born and raised in Manchester. I was raised in a Christian family. I used to go to church on a Sunday, but from a very young age, I kind of had doubts about Christianity. In my teenage years, I came away from religion and I became a jazz singer from the age of 14 to 23. At the age of 18, I'd done quite well in the music industry. I was making money singing, so I started to get involved in business. So I started to ship cars to Africa. I also got a scholarship to DeBeers to study diamonds and gemology. So I actually did some studies with them, and I was also looking into diamonds myself in Sierra Leone. So I was kind of trying to get involved in business. That was my main reason for going to Sierra Leone. And I remember my Sierra Leonean friend, when he took me there, he said, "Look, you're not going there to help people. You're going there to make money." That was the intention initially for going to Africa. The first country I went to was Senegal. I went on my own actually. I was 18 years old, and there was a bit of confusion because the idea was to get a visa for Sierra Leone from Senegal, but when I got there was no Sierra Leone embassy, so I was kind of stranded in Senegal, and I didn't really have much funds. So I spoke to the hotel manager and told him I don't have enough money to pay you. So he said, "No problem, come to my house." But he was a Muslim. So this is the part when I had to make the decision: am I going to go, or should I run away? I was a bit scared of Muslims at the time, so I had to go. I had nowhere else to go. So I stayed with him for a few weeks. I stayed in his family home, watched his mother pray, his family pray together. I heard the adhan for the first time, which was an amazing experience. Something you really connect with spiritually, and you want to know more. What is this? And many things happened on this trip. Somebody got married. His grandmother passed away. She was 103 years old at the time, and I remember he was crying, and I tried to comfort him, just saying, she's gone to a better place. And he said, "I'm not crying because she's died. He said, I'm crying because I wanted you to meet her, and I wanted her to make dua that you become a Muslim." So I was quite touched by that. I started questioning, what he was talking about, and I started to look into Islam. After this, I managed to get a visa. Somebody took my passport to Gambia and brought the visa back, and I carried on to Sierra Leone, which was my intended destination. That's where I was actually doing business. And for the next few years, I was back and forth from the UK to Africa, involved in business. It was kind of a dark period of my life in terms of getting involved with the wrong people, just basically chasing the dunya, trying to make money. But one of the things was my friends were involved in magic, in sihr. They would use the jinn in certain situations. They would go to people who were dealing with the jinn. And I remember these people were telling me about my life, things that only I know. And I couldn't explain how they got their information. And they claimed to be Muslim. They dress like Muslims. They appear to be Muslims. But it wasn't until further along the line, I saw a lecture by Dr. Bilal Phillips explaining how the jinn get their information about people. And this really made sense, because Islam has an explanation how these people get this knowledge that appears to be from the unseen. I mean, with the jinn, of course, if you don't have the perspective of Islam, it's kind of amazing, because it's the unseen world. Things are happening and you have no explanation for it. So it's like a miracle, basically. People knowing things about you, people telling you this is going to happen this week, and it would happen. So if you don't have the Islamic perspective, you won't understand how these people are getting this information. But of course, from Islam, it's very simple. How the jinn get this information. There's a whole world, a spiritual world of the jinn. Like human beings, they have free choice, but they're around us, so they can hear us when we're speaking. They have this knowledge. It's like a human companion. It has the knowledge on you. So people are involved in the world of the jinn in many different levels. In different countries, they use it in different ways. You'll find certain countries, they use it more for splitting up marriages. Some of them are using it for money, some of them are using it for power. This one particular village in Sierra Leone, there were a lot of politicians there seeking power through sihr. And sihr is using the jinn, to try and get your power. So they'll do some sort of deal with the jinn. All the deal is to get them to commit shirk, to get them to disbelieve in Allah by maybe sacrificing a chicken or a sheep, or in some cases in Africa, human beings. In parts of Africa, it's even as evil as human sacrifice. It's very sad. But the point is that this particular act of submitting to the jinn takes you outside of Islam. It's an act of kufr, and a lot of them don't understand this. So the whole point of the jinn is to get you to commit shirk. But subhanAllah, the people I were involved in were using it for business, to get deals, protection from police, protection from certain things they were trying to bring into the country. People would be blinded to certain things. And it was weird, like people looking at something but they can't see it because the jinn would cover it. It's, of course, from the Islamic perspective, all this happens with the permission of Allah, that Allah gives these people the permission to do it. Not that Allah likes what they're doing or agrees with what they're doing, but there's a wisdom Allah allows them to do these things. I've seen a lot of different things. I don't like to go into too much detail about it, it's not a nice topic. People like these type of topics. They're always discussing about the world of the jinn. But really, ultimately, if you're a Muslim, you need to believe that it exists. You need to know that sihr and evil eye and things like this exist. But you don't need to be speaking about it all the time. You need to just be content that Allah will protect you. He's give you a means of protecting yourself. Through ayah of the Quran and different ways. I mean, you see, this isn't. Many people have these experiences, many non-Muslims have these experiences. In the West, they tend to speak about it as ghosts. They say, I've seen a ghost, or I'm in contact with a ghost, or a spirit, or my grandmother comes and sees me, and it'll be in the form of like a ghost. In Islam, we don't believe that jinn are the spirits of dead people. This is the Western concept of a ghost. It's someone who has passed away and it's their spirit. And what it is the jinn pretending to be your grandmother, or because they know all the information, what your grandmother knows, because they've been there through all them experiences. And then they start to fool you and think that you're speaking to your dead grandmother. It's all to get you to leave the worship of Allah. But from the Islamic perspective, the jinn have their own spirit. They are like human beings. It's not the soul of a dead person, it's their own soul, created as a jinn. It's a very interesting topic, and the point is that as Muslims we do have to believe in the unseen. This is something we believe in. There's a whole chapter of the Quran named after the jinn. The Prophet gave dawah to the jinn. This is definitely something that is a part of our belief, and we shouldn't go to extremes. Some Muslims deny the existence of jinn, some of them are actually dealing with the jinn, and both are wrong. We have to affirm that they exist, but at the same time we don't deal with them. So that really connected me with Islam, because Islam could answer what I'd witnessed in Africa, in the world of the jinn, the concept of the jinn. It's something I already believed in, from my experiences there. Now I was starting to look into Islam and start to believe in Islam. I was looking more into the Quran, we were watching a lot of YouTube videos aimed at non-Muslims and new Muslims, like the Deen Show. And it was quite interesting to see people who have accepted Islam. People like Abdurrahim Green, Eddie from the Deen Show, bring different people who had converted to Islam. And it was interesting, seeing white people become a Muslim. I didn't know that I could be a Muslim. I thought it was like an Arab Asian religion. So I started to research more. And initially I was trying to prove Islam wrong, trying to find reasons not to submit, basically. But then Islam always had answers. It was always giving me answers, and I was very impressed with the answers. And I guess ultimately everyone asks, what was the thing that brought you to Islam? I always believed in Allah. I always believed in the oneness of Allah. I never believed Jesus was the Son of God or a part of God. And I remember when I was in church, when I was a child, before I'd pray, I would always say, God, I'm praying to you, not Jesus. I start my prayer like that. Very profound, the fitrah. Everyone is born with this belief in a creator. It's a very real thing for me. So the concept that I had of of God was the Islamic concept. You know, no other religion had that. So that was the thing that appealed to me. Well, I believed I was a Muslim. I fasted Ramadan on my own in my bedroom. I tried to pray with the laptop, you know, on the floor and things like that. I'm sure many people have done that. But I'd not officially took Shahada. I'd not been to a masjid. And I actually travelled on business to Egypt and met a friend of mine, and he needed to pray. He was a Muslim, so he went to the mosque and he was praying, and he let me come to the mosque. I sat down and watched him, and then I asked him, teach me how to pray. And he said, no, because you're not a Muslim. I said, I fasted Ramadan, you know, I believe in Islam. And he said, well, you have to say the Shahada. So I said, what's the Shahada? You know, so then I declared the Shahada, and this was the beginning of me, you know, officially becoming a Muslim. After taking my Shahada, I travelled back to the United Kingdom, and I was looking for a mosque. I went to a mosque, and it was closed. I found out later it was a Shia mosque. It's part of all the plans, you know. So I went to another place which I thought was a school. It looks like an Islamic school. It's called the Muslim Youth Foundation. It's in the Manchester city centre, and it turned out to be the central mosque. It was actually a masjid. As soon as I went there was a white guy just there at the reception, and I was shocked, you know. And it was called Scott, you know. He had an English name. He started to sit me down, teach me the Fatiha, may Allah reward him, subhanAllah, teach me the Salah. He's very patient with me, and he didn't used to judge me. He realised, you know, you're living in the West, you're a new Muslim, you don't have to be a Muslim. If I wanted, I could have just walked out. So he's very patient in that way. In the beginning stages, I was very jahil. I was still, at that point, still singing. This is my income. Still doing certain things, you know. So you're in this transition period. People think that you take Shahada and then you just become like a Sahaba. It's not like that. It's like any other Muslim. You know, you're in this transition period. You know, and there's some good brothers at this masjid who really supported me, and every day I'd go there and just learn off the people, and it's a really beneficial point. So I'm currently, I try to help people learn how to interact with non-Muslims, how to give dawah. You know, I have like a basic dawah course, and also detailed dawah courses on Christianity and atheism. I've recently wrote a book about atheism, an Islamic response to atheism, basically answering some of the points of Dawkins, but it's not specific to Richard Dawkins. You know, it's more of a conversation, teaching people how to engage with atheists. So it takes you through the order of a conversation with an atheist you should have. So many Muslims or people tend to just present rational arguments. Usually this is the method many people use, but when you look at many of the scholars of the past, like Ibn Taymiyyah, for instance, you know, he used like the fitra perspective, which is that we don't have to prove the existence of Allah. This is a given. So enlightening people to acknowledge the fitrah, because most people will acknowledge that we have a soul, that we have an innate belief in a creator, we have an innate understanding and a joint agreement, if you like, of humanity agree on the basics of morality and things like this. So enlightening people to the existence of the fitrah, and then debunking some of the religions of atheism, something like their deen, if they have their iman in science or philosophy, or maybe they just have misconceptions like, why is the evil in the world? Kind of tackling these issues and presenting the Islamic perspective on it, and also their own perspective on it, you know, because many people have their iman in science. You know, just teaching them what science is will remove their iman in science. You know, teaching them what philosophy is, teaching them that just because there's evil in the world, it doesn't equate to Allah not existing, you know, things like this. And then later on we can look at rational arguments and also present Islam as well, you know, why Islam is the solution for humanity. So this is kind of what my book's going through, and I have like a course on this as well, teaching Muslims, you know, how to deal with this. You can follow me on Facebook. My name's John Fontain, Facebook and YouTube. Also volunteer Sierra Leone as well. You can follow the work in Africa, and yeah, inshallah. And watch out for my book, The God Solution, inshallah.